Welcome, everyone. Happy virtual Holiday Art Expo. This is our last live artist talk of the day. So, thank you all to everyone who has been checking in on all of our artists, checking out their booths, maybe doing a little bit of stretching, a little bit of yoga, a little bit of children's theater. All of those things are happening today in our Eventney page. So, hopefully, you've had some fun with that. But now we are here to talk a little bit of making things. So we have one of our wonderful artists with us who is actually live from her shop at Made STL on Del Mar, which is super fun. I don't like to introduce people because I feel like using their own words coming from them is so much better. So, Karen, tell me, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, my name is Karen DeGuire. I am the owner of Trouble with Trivets. I laser cut cool things, and a lot of them are very practical. Everything from trivets and coasters, keychains, cutting boards. My most recent endeavor is these intricate mandala wall hangings, and I actually will be cutting one of those out tonight so you can see how the laser works and how the layers go together to make a final product.
That's very cool. So for those of us that are joining live, like we apologize, this one's a little bit different because Karen's actually like next to her laser and like stuff is going on, which is
noisy.
so weird. Like we wanted to make sure as this virtual environment allows, we can actually do some of this time traveling and like going to see things as they're being made, which is so cool. So thank you for that intro, Karen. I appreciate it. So tell me, how did you get started and how did you learn how to do a laser, like use a laser printer and what is Made, and tell us all the things.
Okay, so Made is a public makerspace. They have over $500,000 of equipment available to use, and you take a class to certify that you know what you're doing. And once you took that class, you are allowed to run. You can rent each piece of equipment for an hourly rate. The lasers are $5 an hour. They have a full wood shop, metal shop, Tormach machines. They have a water jet table where you can cut 5 inches of steel using garnet infused water, which is amazing. They have a full textile bay, embroidery machine, screen printing, 3D printers. There's so MIG and TIG welding. There's so much equipment here, powder coating. And so much of it is the kind of things that us normal everyday people can't afford to purchase on our own. So being able to kind of share all of the equipment with other people makes it affordable for everybody. So it's kind of like the wide, but for makers.
I love it. So you can go and learn how to use a machine safely and then figure out what you want to make with it and make your dreams come true.
Exactly. Or if you have a prototype that you've always wanted to put together, but you didn't have the resources to actually make that prototype. The man who owns this place, Jim McKelvey, actually is the inventor of Square, the card reader, and he prototyped his in the predecessor of this, which was called Tech Shop. And we had a tech shop here for about a year. They went bankrupt. They closed. We all cried. Jim swooped in and opened Made a year later and kind of adopted all us makers who had been orphaned by tech shops. So we're all really grateful to him.
That's amazing. So you come from the tech shop days.
I do. I was one of the first members of Tech Shop and one of the first members here because I love making things.
So how did you get so like connected to like the laser cutter? Like what about the laser cutter? What about Trivets? Like
this is kind of a fun story. So I actually intended to use the laser to cut my corset bodies because I make Victorian and Edwardian corsets because first and foremost I'm a costumer. My degree is in theatrical costuming and art. And so when I was a double major, I kind of focused on both those things, but I was thinking I would cut my corset bodies with the laser because you're cutting through 4 layers of canvas, duck canvas, cotton duck canvas. It's hard on your hands. It's very labor intensive. And I thought, ooh, I wonder if the laser could do that for me. And I kept setting the fabric on fire, which is frowned upon. So I thought, what else can I do with this laser? So I think it was Thanksgiving of 2017. I was at Thanksgiving with my mother-in-law, and she pulled out like 12 trivets that she was serving everything. And I was like, oh, that's what I can make with the laser. Because I already did like these snowflakes, these hand cut paper snowflakes where you fold it and you get that radial symmetry, which I love so much. And I thought, oh my gosh, I could do that out of wood. And then I'd have a trivet, and then I'd have gifts to give her for holidays that are, you know, handmade and nice. And she uses hers. She has 5 of them now. She uses them every day. So she's like field testing my stuff for me. So that's how the Trivets came to be. And if you know the Star Trek story, The Trouble with Tribbles, so I'm a total nerd. So it's an original series episode where these fuzzy little things, and they look so cute, but they multiply at an exponential rate. And so suddenly the ship is completely filled with these fluffy little furry things, and they don't know what to do with them all. And that's kind of what happened with Trouble with Trivets. It started with Trivets, and now I have keychains and cutting boards and wall hangings and coasters. And the ideas just keep multiplying. So it's a very apropos name.
That's amazing. You totally like answered it perfectly. Like, it's, how do you come up with your business name? And is there a fun story behind it? That is
just kind of came to me, but like I said, I love all the genres. I'm a total nerd.
You know what? We're all nerds at heart. We all nerd about something.
Yeah.
You know, just something. So clearly, like home, like Thanksgiving was the inspiration for the Trivets. But how do you, where do you find the inspiration and the design in your Trivets? And then eventually we'll go over to the laser. Take a look.
Well, a lot of like specifically for my wall mandalas, I look at Middle Eastern sacred geometry, the tile work of places like Turkey and Pakistan and Morocco and places like that, where they have the beautiful inlaid. India is another one. I also do henna tattoos, so I love that kind of floral, flowy, you know, sort of pattern. And that's kind of where the mandalas came from. Like I said, the Trivets were actually from these paper snowflakes that I cut out. They were all inspired by Marian Nichols from the City Museum. She's the snowflake lady, and I own all of her books. She owns several of my Trivets that I gifted her as a thank you. So some of those designs come directly from Marian, and she's an amazing lady. The coasters and are kind of mimic the Trivets too. And the keychains, I do everything from Star Wars, Star Trek, Steven Universe, Sandman, The Endless, you know, any genre you can imagine, Marvel, any genre you can imagine, I do. And then my cutting boards are kind of their own thing because they're very humorous. I have one that has a picture of Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy, and it says "I was Groot" because it's made of wood. And so people get really mad at me about that one, but they all have really funny, kind of a funny twist to them. I have one that has the Thanos glove, like, you know, doing its thing, and it says "Cooking is a snap." I have a Dementor from Harry Potter, and it says "Kiss the cook." So they're all, you know, they're all a little out there, but fun. So.
Oh my gosh, that's
anyway to express my odd sense of humor.
No, you're hitting on all of my nerddoms. So that's amazing. I've been telling all the artists that I've been talking to all weekend that I'm going to be sending everybody a link to the virtual event because this is my Christmas. Like, please choose from any of the ones that we have. And I haven't gone to your booth. You're next on my list, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need all of these things. That's so fun. So do you have a favorite piece that you've created?
I actually do. Here, we're gonna walk.
Okay.
So I just finished. Here's some of my stuff. Hopefully you can see.
Oh.
So wow. This one, I literally finished like 20 minutes ago.
Oh my God.
So it's not actually glued together or anything. So it's all in separate layers. You can see we've got, you know, just the moon, and then the rest of the layers come off, and you can see how the different cuts give you those different colors underneath.
Wow.
So that's the bottom one, and that's where you start. As you start on the bottom, and I always sign all my pieces too. So it's got its little, trying to get you in frame, little signature there. So that still needs to be cleaned off and glued and everything. And then you'll see the final product once it's done. And the other cool thing about the wall hangings is they're all one of a kind. I don't ever make a second one exactly the same. So like this one here, I sold this one at the Tower Grove Farmers Market, but it was a different set of colors. So same design, different colors. This one is a special order for a friend of mine, and it's all glued together. So you can see all those different layers, like just how thick it gets. This one's 9 layers. And then there's one of those cutting boards I was talking about. That's Middle Earth from Lord of the Rings. You can see how intricate that gets.
Is that all? Is that all a single layer?
This is all one. Yeah, this is all one layer.
Wow.
And so, you know, cut on the back, serve on the front. You don't want to go cutting this, you know, design up necessarily. But you can see the beautiful detail you can get with that. Here's another one of my my pieces, and this is actually made in their shop. You can purchase this made directly from their gift shop. And here's some of the trivets you can see. You see that radial symmetry, and that's 2 layers glued together. So I cut a mirror image out, and then I glue those 2 layers together. There's lots of different designs that kind of appeal to, you know, all sorts of different folk. We've got some more florals and
wow.
dragon. That's my Celtic dragon. You can see him. So yeah, that's some of my work. And then this is actually a jig that I built to help glue the pieces together, because lining them up perfectly is just about the hardest part of the whole process. You can see this one isn't glued together either. I'm hoping you're getting some of this in frame at least.
Yeah, we're good. We can see that.
Good. So you can see all the different layers here.
Yeah.
And this will help me glue everything together, because then I can use my clamps and clamp everything down to make that sandwich and laminate everything together.
What do you use to attach everything together?
This magic thing right here. It's a glue roller. It has saved my butt more than I can tell you. So I bought this at Rockler. Rockler is I'm gonna come back over here. Rockler is a local woodworking supply place, and they're fantastic. I get a lot of my wood dyes from them, because every panel is hand painted. It all starts as just a big 5x5 wood sheet of birch, and then I'll go use the table saw up in the wood shop and cut them down to size, to 18 by 18 sheets, and then paint them all, laser cut them, do the gluing, do the sealing, put the hanger on the back. So there's a lot of steps involved, but the finished product is pretty cool. So
That's amazing. I had no idea. I feel like I've seen, now that you're showing me stuff, I feel like I've seen your stuff around at different markets, and I had no idea that there was that many steps. Like, how long does it take you from you got it? I know you do it. You probably do it in batches, right? But like, when you get the wood to like finished product ready to sell, like, what is that turnaround time?
Once the actual piece is designed on the computer, which takes a long time in and of itself, but when that step is done, then I can just, you know, repeat that as many times as I want. I'd say for like that 10 layer, that big piece, that's probably 16 hours, start to finish. Maybe a little more, because the gluing part is really tedious. Yeah. It's really, really intricate. And I mean, I have a set of dental tools that I use to like get that glue out of all those bits where I don't want the glue. I mean, that's a long process. And then once it's in there, you have to let it sit for half an hour, let it set, pull it out, get the rest of the glue out, you know, roll the next layer and repeat the process. So, oh
my gosh. That is crazy and so intricate. I had no idea. Well, since you're back at your computer station, why don't we look at the laser and see if we can?
Yeah, absolutely. So this, I didn't know if there's a way to like flip my camera so I can see what I'm doing, but here is a representation of the piece I'm working on now. This is actually for my little sister for her new home. And that gives me a decent idea of what those layers are going to look like once they're cut. So then I just have to tell the laser basically what to do. So let me I'm gonna do layer 2 is very exciting. So we're gonna skip ahead a little bit into layer 4, which is, what color is layer 4? Layer 4 is black. Well, let's not do layer 4 because then you can't see the cutting out black. We'll do 5. That'll be good. All right, 5 is silver. Let me set that up real quick. We're gonna go to the other panel.
Yeah, so we can see you lifting up and going into the laser itself. This is very cool. We're like got 2 cameras going, like a 2-camera shoot.
Silver. Okay. Close it up. I'll let the computer know what it's supposed to be doing. Good. Print. And the laser is gonna do its thing. There it goes. So this layer is actually going to take 20 minutes to cut.
Oh my gosh.
For this one layer.
So it's literally using a laser. We can see it like,
yeah,
so it's
that
cutting
light beam.
Yeah,
laser. Don't get your hands in there.
Can't go near that. That's why it's red. It's dangerous. Like, don't go near it.
Yes, exactly.
So you said it could take 20 minutes to cut
this layer. Yeah, you can actually get a countdown for how long each layer is going to take. And this particular layer is going to take 20 minutes to do. So I can show you what just this layer looks like.
Yeah.
So it's just that.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that is layer 5, which is silver in our design. And once that's done, I will keep going and do the rest of them, and then we'll glue it all together and make sure everything's sanded nice and smooth. And I put a sawtooth hanger on the back and little bumpers on the back so it hangs evenly. And this one's a pretty heavy piece. I've done this one before. In fact, there's one of the pieces that's in my shop is this design, but in a very different color scheme. And it's one of the heavier ones. It's a denser design, so it's probably about 6 pounds, I'd say, as a finished piece. And it's 17 by 7 or 17 and a half by 17 and a half. It's up. It's big.
Yeah.
It's pretty big. The laser can only do 18 by 24 maximum, which is kind of why, you know, the way you cut your wood and what you can fit in the laser is what kind of dictates the size of the things that I do.
Yeah. Are you using the same type of wood for all of these? Is it always birch?
Yes. Everything but the coasters are bamboo, just because that's a thirstier wood, so they work better as a coaster. And the cutting boards are beech wood.
Okay.
But everything else is birch. I get it locally from St. Charles Hardwoods out in Cottleville. So again, I'm supporting another local small business, which is important to me. Birch, this particular kind of Baltic birch is sustainable. So it's not harming the environment or, you know, cutting down the Amazon to get this kind of wood. So again, trying to be, you know, conscientious of my materials. So yeah, all of my dyes are water-based, so we don't have to use nasty chemicals to clean up, which is important too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I have a couple more minutes, so 1 or 2 more questions. But what's the hardest part about working with those different types of wood, like, or your medium in general?
Sometimes, okay, so the most frustrating thing is I can be cutting a sheet of something, you know, if I'm doing like 8 ornaments or something like that all at once, and something is offset. I didn't check the position of my laser before I started, and it cuts half of something off. Or it, you know, the lens is a little dirty sometimes, and maybe it hits a glue pocket in the wood, or something happens and it doesn't cut all the way through. So I can, you know, this 20-minute sheet, I may have to go back with my X-Acto knife and cut from the back some little bits that got missed by the laser, and that can happen. With the Trivets, it happens more, I think, than anything else, because that's a 1/4 inch versus the 1/8 inch birch sheet. And so there's more layers of glue in there. And so there's more places where the laser can hit a pocket of, glue or something it doesn't expect that's denser than the wood, and it won't cut all the way through. And sometimes I just have to throw those out because they're so intricate that trying to cut it out is just, I'm going to break it. It's not going to cut through. I'm going to lose a finger. Who knows? So it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So I just pitch it usually when I need to do that. I'd say that's probably the most frustrating thing about it. The gluing, like I said, is pretty tedious, but not all of it is glued. So
I can imagine you listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of radio while you're doing.
I've been watching I've been watching Doctor Who actually on my iPad while I'm cutting right now. Although a lot of times what I'll do while I'm cutting one thing, I'll be designing a new thing on the computer while I'm waiting for things. Yeah, so it just like feeds itself. But yeah, when I don't have anything else to do, I'll watch Doctor Who. I'll listen to my playlists or whatever. Huge music fan, so lots of I have probably 80 hours worth of music on my phone, or more. Lots of musicals.
There you go. Well, you can get inspired to do something else. That's
exactly.
It all feeds itself, which
it really kind of does. It's true.
Well, the one kind of departure question that we love to ask, obviously the chamber is here to support artists, but also in their art, but as business owners, because people kind of forget that artists are business owners, but they absolutely are. We want to be able to give them the support that they need to do their accounting and do the businessy side, which sometimes is not the side, but it's important. So the question we would love to ask is, what do you wish people knew about the business of your art?
Well, this year has been so different for artists than like any other year ever. I was planning on doing the Queenie Art Fair. I just started doing the mandalas back last November, so I really didn't have the confidence or the stock to do art shows until like January. So I did a mock jury, got great feedback, and I applied for the Lomar Sculpture Park show, the Queenie Art show. I got onto both of them, and then they got canceled. Yeah. And so I haven't really had an appropriate, I guess, outlet to show my upper end stuff, because my keychains are $5. They're anyone can purchase a keychain. My wall hangings, they're not impulse buys by any stretch, and I know that. And so finding appropriate places to showcase those things, especially this year, has been so hard. I was really hoping I would get to go down to Memphis for their River Walk show, which I also got into. That was going to be in October, and again, they had to cancel it. So hopefully next year there will be more live interaction once it's safe again to do those things. But in the meantime, I found that the online outlets have been a great way to really show what I can do. And it's not the same as seeing it in person and being able to hold it and look at the depth, and you can't really capture that in photographs. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot more resources out there than I realized for online sales, like with the St. Louis Chamber of Commerce and the National Art. I forget what that place is called. Darn it! NationalArtFair.com, I think is what it's called. I just joined with them, and there's a few others out there. So if you search for it, especially if you're missing art shows, you can find resources out there, and there are plenty of eager artists waiting to sell their goods to you, the eager art consumers. So please go find us.
Oh, that's absolutely perfect. That's why we our whole virtual event is actually on a platform that is like highlighting lots of I saw a bunch of other virtual expos. So you check them out, because they got all kinds of art fairs that are doing just like what we're doing, because there isn't interaction in person anymore. But I do think it's really cool. I do think that there's something cool about video and like this live interaction, to be able to see you actually like separating the pieces out and like how it gets put together. Like that is, I don't know how you do it. That's amazing.
Thank you. It's like seeing a potter throwing something on a wheel. It's like it's so hard to imagine the process that goes into that final piece unless you're actually witnessing it. So I get that. And I can't throw on a wheel to save my life. So.
But the benefit of this virtual thing is that we are transported into your workshop to actually see like the laser going right now, which is well, just in the minute that we have left, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you really want to make sure you get out into the world?
I don't know. I guess if you have the means to do so, please support local. There are so many artists who are struggling right now because of the pandemic, because we can't be out there hustling the way we're used to hustling to get the word out, to get our art out. And it's the people who come and watch these videos and get involved who support us. And we really appreciate that. We are so grateful that there is a strong artist community in St. Louis. And I'm really glad to have found you guys. Which was a very recent thing. I didn't even know you existed. So thank you so much for doing what you guys are doing and helping support us. We appreciate it.
We love it. Well, we're relatively new ourselves, but this is our first big outing. Obviously, had to switch it up, pivot as it were. But you know what? It's been so much fun to be transported from the Schlafly tap room to I don't remember where my jeweler was this morning, but just all over the place in different locations, seeing artists in their element, which is, you know, the benefit of this medium, which is really cool. Well, we're going to wrap it up because that's our time. And this will be on, and we'll see everybody around for the next one. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a good night.